Hi, welcome back to another episode of Obsessed by Everything Bravo. My name is Meredith and I am your host on our journey through the Housewives. I'm so happy that you are here with me today to discuss the Housewives, and we're on the tail end of one of the most important episodes of Housewives ever. And not to say that it's my favorite, because it definitely is not. I feel like the dinner party from hell was like much better. This is important though, because I feel like it, or the one that we just had, it really changes the dynamics. It let us in a little bit to the back door end and to see what was going on behind closed doors, I guess. But today we're going to be talking about episode 12, entitled The Great Divide. We're opening back up at Lisa Vanderpump's house for her tea party. And so let's backtrack just a little bit. So Taylor says, everyone is talking behind each other's backs. We just need to start being honest. Camilla says, I don't think you want everything out there. You said everything. Be careful what you say because we're all protecting you. Taylor says, about my marriage. And Camille says, what you told us about your marriage. We've been protecting you because we don't say that he hits you. We don't say that he broke your jaw or that he beat you up or that he hit you. We don't say that, but now we're said it. And we're supposed to walk around going, we can't wait to see him. Also, this whole time, Lisa Vanderpump is like in the back, like kind of mirroring what she's saying. But we don't know if it's true because you come over and you don't have any signs of physical abuse on your body. So Taylor's like, that's really uncool. And Camilla says, yeah, it's really uncool, but you set it up, Taylor. And Lisa tells us that, they've all talked to Taylor so many times in private, but she was kind of shocked that Camille just like laid it out on the table. And Camille's angry at the inconsistency from Taylor and Russell's relationship. So Camille gets up from the couch and she's like, you have to be honest. You need to be honest because that's not cool. And she storms out and Lisa follows her, but she stops when Taylor starts to talk. And Taylor says, what she just said was above and beyond what needs to be said. And LVP is like, well, we've been skating around it for so long. And as I said, I believed you what you said about your marriage. And that's why I don't like Russell. And Taylor was like, well, I appreciate that, but you didn't like me either. Again, Taylor is trying to rein it back to talking about how Lisa's not her friend. Not liking your husband because of the shit that you told is something a friend would do. And Lisa says, no, I was confused by you. And Taylor was like, I needed you. And I felt like a junior high school girl who wanted to be friends with a popular girl. It felt awful. And LVP's giving her puppy dog eyes. Like, I think she's really trying to be genuine here. Not for show, not for anything, not calculating. And she says, I'm sorry that I made you feel that I was confused by you. I didn't know what to believe. Like, she says, I'm sorry that I made you feel like I was confused by you. Like, I'm sorry that I made you feel that I was confused by you. I'm getting myself confused. I didn't know what to believe. I'm confused. Okay. Taylor's like, I didn't know you felt that way because I had no idea because you've never said it to me. So I forgive you. Lisa tells us she saw a different side of Taylor where she's desperate for her friendship. And she was humbled by the fact that she really hadn't ever supported Taylor. Lisa says, I feel better about all this in a way. Taylor goes to sit next to her and she's like, I'm glad, honestly, that we've resolved it. Kyle goes, this is resolved? I mean, Kyle is like, feels like, Kyle is like, this is a train wreck right now. So then Kyle tells us, you guys have had these negative feelings towards each other this whole time. And now all of a sudden everything is finished. It's hunky dory. That's weird. Taylor says, look, I want to be honest with Lisa. I didn't feel brave enough before. And now the door is open. For the first time in my life, I feel like I have confidence to be honest. And we're going to be friends. So LVP says, I feel like now I have to wipe the slate clean and remove any doubt because this girl needs our support. Okay, so I really feel like I have to pause and just like go over what happened in that scene from last episode and this episode. So one thing is, is we now have confirmation that at least some of them are plotting and planning behind each other's backs. For sure, Taylor, she's having these conversations with Kyle. She's having conversations with Camille and Adrian in order to expose Lisa for being a bad friend, of which there's no real evidence of that. There's no real evidence that Lisa was ever mean to anyone on purpose. Was she like kind of making fun of them behind their back? Yeah. This is Housewives. That's the whole point. I mean, Bethany does it. Nene does it. Some of the best people do it. And guess what? Bethany, Nene, Lisa Vanderpump, these are all fan favorites. So get on board or get the fuck out of the way. Because here's the thing. If you can't take a joke, the audience also doesn't like you, because you can either be the butt of the joke or you can be in on the joke. And if you're able to just like laugh it off and be like, no, and even better, give a zinger back, you're going to be okay. But if you're just like, well, I can't believe she would say that about me, the audience is not going to like you. I mean, and that's just how it is. So we know for a fact now that at least a few people are plotting and planning. They're plotting and planning to take down Lisa Vanderpump. Now, that will be a theme until Lisa Vanderpump quits the show mid-season. They're always plotting and planning to take down Lisa Vanderpump. Why? Because she's a fan favorite. She's a fan favorite. And you would do much better to be her friend, and then you can be the best friend of a fan favorite than to be her enemy, because you look like a dickhead. So the other thing is, by Taylor trying to wrap these other ladies into her game, that pissed everyone off. So that pissed Kyle off, who was able to tell her, hey, you're pissing me off. And it pissed Camille off. And it pissed Camille off so much that she was like, you're going to throw me under the bus? Guess what? I'm going to throw you under the bus. And I'm going to tell everybody your big secret that we've been hiding for you for a year. What this also tells me is Taylor, and this is the part that I don't understand. I understand a lot about what Taylor's motivations were, or, why she joined the show. I understand all that, and I'll explain it. What I don't understand is why she was telling everyone that he was abusing her. Was it a cry for help? Was it a bid for sympathy? Because she's telling everyone, but she doesn't want anyone to do anything. Because really, the only way to get her safe would be to expose the truth, right? And this is what Camille did, because she's tired of the back and forth. She's tired. She feels like there's lying. Now, I don't think she's lying about the abuse, but there's lying somewhere. There's something that's not adding up to Camille. I'm not saying this. I'm saying Camille feels this way. And she's like, I don't want you to throw me under the bus. Now, we are going to have, in just a minute, we're going to have a conversation about this. So but I just wanted to touch base on, there's a lot of things that happened in that scene that were very eye-opening. Sorry, if you hear hooting and hollering, my son and my husband are downstairs watching a basketball game. And at this point, I don't want to tell them to be quiet. I'm actually supposed to be at work. I'm on call. So we're just trying to get through this, right? It was very eye-opening for what was going on. I feel like when I watched it the first time, I did not understand what the fuck they were talking about. Because to me, real friendships, you're not plotting to take someone down. And you're not speaking about it in a way that sounds bad. Now, real friendships, there's people that you don't like, and you all will go and you'll talk about that person. But then the thing is if you really don't like that person, you don't spend time with them unless you have to, like they're a coworker or something, but you're just not spending time with them. But I've never had a real friendship where we're like, well, let's take her down. Real people don't act like this. But this is Housewives and the stakes are different because it's like Game of Thrones out. Oh my God. It's Game of Thrones. Someone has to be on top. Okay. Sorry. My stuff was going on downstairs. Okay. So let's move on because we're going to talk about this a little bit more here in a little bit. So Kim says that now she's moved in with Ken. It's been more challenging. You fucking think so? Like, are you a moron? Like, I'm so sorry. With the move and some of the kids are going through things, she says Kyle cried and it saddened me to hear her sad because I wanted her to see me happy. But Ken and I are both control freaks and stubborn, and only time will tell to see if this is the right relationship. And this is the only time we see Kim for several episodes. Like, she just does not film. She's moving, and I don't know what's going on. Like, part of me really wants to say she just was too busy and stressed out. But the other part of me is like, was he just not letting her film? Was that what's going on here? I don't know. Okay. So now we're going over to Kyle's, and she's kind of hanging out with Portia in the kitchen. Faye comes by because she wants Kyle to pick out some fabrics for the house. Remember, she's her decorator. And Kyle's like, I cannot look at this. I'm not in the right mindset right now. Kyle says after the tea party, she's lost. She's confused. And Kyle tells Faye about the tea party and how things got heated. Mauricio comes home right then, and Faye's like, can you just like say hi to everybody because we were getting ready to get to the good stuff. It was like so funny. So Kyle continues, and she's like, you know the stuff that Taylor has shared with me and with you. So not only is Taylor telling the main cast, she's telling all the ancillary characters as well. Like, she's telling everyone she runs into. No wonder the whole fucking town knows about their marriage. I mean, Faye could have leaked this. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is happening with you? Why do they automatically think that it's Lisa Vanderpump selling stories when it could have easily been Camille? It could have been Dee Dee. You know, if Taylor is sharing that Russell beats the shit out of her to Faye, she's sharing it with Dee Dee. She's sharing it with everyone. And you know what I was thinking? Actually, because I got sick and I got behind, I was going to do an awards. Okay. And I'm still going to do it. I think I'm going to have to do it next week. I had to push it back because I was like getting so behind. I was going to do an award for like best, you know, and I had all these categories like best housewives mom, like not the actual housewives, but like their mom. One of them was like best gay best friend. Do you remember Taylor last year had gay best friend? Don't worry. We see him this episode, but I had not seen him. His name was Dwight, remember? Because I was like, what are the odds that we have two gay BFFs named Dwight? I mean, like, I don't know anyone named Dwight. But anyway, and he had said, this is before we heard any of this, before had an inkling of any of this. He had said that it's really hard to be friends with Russell based on some of the things that Taylor has said. And I think at the time, you know, even last year, it's just like, yeah, it's because Russell seems like a cold, hard man and not very friendly or easy to get to know, because Lisa was saying the same thing. But no, it's because Taylor had already told them that he was abusing her. Taylor had told them that Russell was abusing her. So they all hate him. Which, fine. Okay. I'm just saying, I'm getting frustrated because Taylor's like, oh, what gives you the right to talk about my marriage? Baby, you do. When you start telling everybody, you make it everybody's business. What the fuck are you talking about? And so, okay, so Kyle says, you know, the stuff that Taylor has shared with me and with you, but we don't know all the details. So Camille, in the heat of the moment, shared something about the abuse. And now I think that Taylor is scared that Russell may find out that she told us this stuff. So here's probably the reason why Taylor did tell Faye. So I'm maybe maybe taking this a little too far, but I don't think so. But Faye says, I've been working with this. What I'm assuming she's saying is going to be domestic violence, because let's never forget that her best friend was Nicole Brown Simpson. I can't. I can't. All these people are interconnected is wild. So Faye's best friend was Nicole Brown Simpson, who was infamously murdered, and was married to OJ Simpson. I'm assuming now, OJ, don't come after me. I know you're in heaven, but his estate, don't come after me. I'm just assuming that there might have been some domestic violence there. I'm not saying that there is. I'm just the thought crossed my mind. And so maybe after her murder, he was found not guilty for in criminal court. Civil court is a different story. Maybe she took it upon herself to start doing charity for domestic violence, is what I'm assuming that she's saying. I've been working with this for 19 years. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? And she says, I know the pattern and I know it's dangerous. And Kyle, and let me just pause for what was so interesting about this scene. It was like clearly a setup by production to, hey, let's talk about domestic violence. Also, I probably should have put a trigger warning. I'll put it in my show notes, but trigger warning, I guess. So anyway, Kyle says, so now Taylor is upset with Camille. And Mauricio is like, is that because she doesn't want it to come out? Like, obviously. How are these people so rich and so stupid? Faye says she's probably embarrassed. She doesn't seem like she wants to address it publicly. And Kyle says, I think that's why I have a hard time understanding it. Because when you see people happy at one time, and they obviously don't have a perfect marriage, but then we have Kennedy's party this weekend and it's going to be, happy, it's confusing. So Faye explains, after the abuse, there's typically a honeymoon period where a man romances you. And that's why these women go back, because typically they do love the man and they want to assume that he'll never do it again. And Kyle's like, yeah, do you know how many times I've said to her, you have to leave? And then the next thing I know, they're back together. And Faye's like, it's so hard, especially when you see Russell. And Kyle's like, yeah, I see him playing with Kennedy and I'm confused. And Faye says, I know we've never seen black eyes or anything, but that doesn't mean that it's not really happening. And all you need to do is love her. And you've been such a good friend to her. So, I think that production placed this scene like to cover their ass, because, and again, like I said in the last episode, this is 2011. This is not 2026, where women were, if women came out with something, they were automatically believed. At this time, that is not the case. But like I said, everybody had doubts except for Lisa Vanderpump. Lisa Vanderpump believed it for whatever reason, even though Taylor was willing to attack her. But the thing that they are having a hard time with is this sort of like cognitive dissonance, where it's like, she's telling me all these awful things, but then the next week I see them and they're like this they're playing like this happy family. And the problem is, and I'm not a domestic violence expert. I just know what I know. But one thing I do know is that the most dangerous time for a woman is when she's left. So, because then that is when the men are most dangerous. The second most dangerous time is when a woman is pregnant. And the number one cause of maternal mortality is murder by their domestic partner. So just keep that in mind as well. And they get into this cycle because of all of the things that we've talked about Taylor already. She's wanting the zip code. She's wanting the money. She doesn't want to be single. She's wanting to have a two-parent household. She doesn't want to have to go through divorce and be single like, Camille's doing, Brandy's doing. She's scared of that. And those are the reasons why she stays, but also because after an abuse cycle, he does become loving. He does become caring. There's also this thing where she probably blames herself. Like, oh, he wouldn't, he wouldn't act like this if I didn't do XYZ. So that's just sort of like the typical thing. And I think Taylor has a lot of self confidence problems. I think that's why she does have such an issue with Lisa Vanderpump and like crying about Lisa Vanderpump being her friend, is because she really does feel like it's junior high school and she's not cool enough to be with Lisa Vanderpump. But Lisa Vanderpump doesn't feel that way. Taylor feels that way. You know what I mean? Taylor's projecting that onto Lisa. Lisa doesn't feel that way. Lisa doesn't necessarily like her, but not because she doesn't think she's cool. So there's a lot of self-esteem issue there with Taylor. Now, a couple of things I do want to talk about that I did like research on. One is, you might be thinking to yourself, well, if Taylor had all this going on, why did she join the show? And that's a good question. Similarly, and I said this last episode as well, similarly to Kyle and Kim, because if you had this big secret that you didn't want anyone to know, why would you go on reality television where they're literally digging into every aspect of your life? And Taylor has responded that she was fearful for her life, and she thought that by going on television, it would keep her safe. That's so tough. And when Camille said that, knowing it was going to be on the show, sorry, I'm on call. I thought I heard my phone ring. Knowing that it was going to be on the show, she knew that Russell would now find out for sure that she had been telling all the women what he was doing to her. And that was going to be very dangerous for her. So it put her in a limbo. And that's going to play out over the rest of the season. But what I will say is, after the fact, Taylor says by Camille outing that, it actually saved her life. Because it gave her, basically, it kind of put her up against a wall where she had to choose. And so she obviously was going to choose to keep her daughter and herself most safe. So she left him and filed for divorce in August of that year. And let's not forget that he committed suicide August 29th. So days or weeks after she filed divorce, he killed himself, knowing all this was going to come out. Which is tough. And don't forget, the audience knows that he killed himself. He passed away. We know. We had that scene that was removed that you can only find on YouTube, where all the ladies are talking about it in the beginning. And they're all kind of devastated and upset, except for Taylor. She's not there. And I'm sure that they all know that she filed for divorce. It was probably in the press. And, like, we knew that. And so now, this is why I thought that this was why he killed himself. It turns out it was financial. I think it was probably a little this, a little of that. But yeah. So, but I'm glad that they put this scene in here, because I feel like a lot of the ladies had questions on, like, why is she there? Why does she stay? Why does it seem so contrived? And it's like, okay, it just like helped explain and answer those questions without Taylor having to speak to it, I guess. Okay, sorry. I was having some technical difficulty, and hopefully I've got that fixed now. Hair's up. Let's get through this episode. So Pandora brought over her bridesmaids' dresses to have Lisa Vanderpump look at them. She brought them to Villa Blanca instead of their home. I'll never understand that. And Pandy wants to have her bachelorette party in Las Vegas. And so Lisa says, well, great. Our friend of many years has actually offered to host at his hotel and casino. Now, this becomes an issue because there's somebody else that we know that owns a hotel and casino in not Palm Beach, in Las Vegas. And then Pandora wants her to come, but Lisa tells us, she's like, I don't want to go hang out with a bunch of 25-year-olds and see chipmunks in action. And I was like, what is she talking about? And then it was like, oh, Chippendales. Whatever. So then Camille goes out to lunch with Adrian and Kyle. And they start off in their chit-chatting. Oh, also, Adrian, I don't know if I've mentioned this before. The way that she drinks out of a wine glass, it's like she sticks her tongue out in it. And I guess she's like doing it to like stop the flow so there's not like a big glob glob. But watching her drink out of a wine glass, next time you're watching, just check her out. Drink. I don't know. It's like, why do they have to zoom in on that anyway? Okay, anyway. And also they start putting in their order. And I feel like we're starting to get more of that. That's big on Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills are always putting in what they order. Not so much everywhere else. But now I feel like it's a staple, like in the current times. They tell us what everyone orders. I don't understand. So Camille opens up and she says she feels terrible about what happened the other day at the tea party. And Kyle's like, yeah, I feel terrible too. So Adrian asks Camille if she's talked to Taylor at all. And Camille says, well, I texted her a few times and I apologized if she was hurt, but Taylor hasn't replied. And so Adrian says, you want to be her friend, but you like don't want to see her hurt. I think she would understand that. And Kyle says, yeah, I think she knows that we all have concerns. The things you said, we were worried about that too. And Camille's like, yeah, I said exactly what she told me. Then Camille tells us, Taylor looked at me and when she said, you want to be honest. And so I asked her, do you want to be honest? And she just like was goading me into it. Don't goad me into say something if you don't want me to say it. So Camille says that she was just trying to be a friend. And when you hear something terrible like abuse, you want to reach out to someone. It's like the elephant in the room that no one can talk about. And then Camille also tells us everyone in the room knew exactly what was going on. So she didn't really feel like she was exposing it. She just goes around telling the girls all this stuff. But for her to hear it back, it was so difficult for some reason. And I guess I just have to say, but Camille, this was on camera. All those other times she talked about it with you guys, it was off camera. And this was on camera. That's what made it different. Like, does she get that? So Camille goes, look, how do I rectify this? I've reached out and maybe she's disappointed in me. I don't know. Adrian says, we understand it wasn't your fault. I don't think you're in the wrong here. And Adrian tells us Camille was just being honest about what Taylor had told her. So she says, if she doesn't want us to be involved in her relationship, she shouldn't say anything about what's been going on because it's hard to handle. And if she tells us, we're going to have an opinion about it. If she doesn't want us to, then she needs to just speak to it with her therapist. I'm like, yes. And then Kyle is like, all I want to know is there's no way I would still be there. And I was like, Kyle, God, judgmental much? And also, Faye just explained to you why she's still there. Hello, we just had a whole scene about it. I don't know. Sometimes, and this is why I feel like when I say, oh, I like Kyle, I have to defend myself because of she does do stuff like this. Now we are going to Kennedy's birthday party and we see Buffalo. And I said, Buffalo must be Kennedy's birthday party. And Kennedy and Taylor get there, and I'm going to be honest with you, Kennedy looks just as excited as she was last year about her party. As in, she doesn't give a shit. I don't know why this woman's still having parties. Obviously, they're parties for herself. The theme this year is county fair. So they've got a petting zoo, pony rides. This is me writing what Taylor's writing out. Petting zoo, pony rides, fish tacos, a mechanical bull. I was like, fish tacos? What do you mean? Is that the only thing you're serving is fish tacos? That's so weird. And of course, because we're on a TV show, we have to make it dramatic. It's 2 hours before the party and nothing's set up. So then we have this whole montage of Taylor getting out there and wheeling the chairs out. And we're on a ranch, by the way. Like, this is an open field with horses and stuff everywhere. Reminds me of home. And she's out there, taking chairs and tables and setting everything up. But she's got a whole crew, and people are putting like tablescapes out. I mean, it's just like so dramatic. And then here comes Dana, and Taylor's mad because Dana, she's like, she's 2 hours late. What are you talking about? So Dana tells us that last year she was really involved in the planning of Kennedy's party, but this year she only handled entertainment because Taylor wanted to plan it all herself. Which I get, because Taylor is from Oklahoma, so she probably does feel like she knows what she wants. But like, I think it's funny she just like got mad at Dana, who then rolled up her sleeves and started helping with everybody else. So I don't know. Taylor's so weird. And don't worry, because they get it all done, like they obviously always do. This is always this is an annoying trope. I'm just gonna start ignoring it. Taylor says this year the party was special to her because it had some touches of home and Kennedy got to experience nature. So then Russell shows up, as the party starts, and he's like, "Oh, do you like everything?" I mean, could not lift a finger to fucking help. I'm sure he paid for everything, but it's like, hello. And so he asked her if she likes it, and she thanks him for the party. She's like, "Yeah, thank you so much." I just feel so gross and icky. Thanks him for writing the check. He didn't lift a finger, and okay, we'll get into it. So I wrote, even though she was the one who was putting out tables and chairs and sweating her ass off, now the guests started to arrive, and I wrote, there's so many gifts. Like, there is a huge table of gifts. This poor girl doesn't need all this stuff. I hope they donate it. I hope they donate it to like a children's shelter. But then, this is where Portia comes in, and she's so excited about this party. It's so cute. She's like, "Mommy, a twain, a twain." And then she's like, "Horses." It was like everything. It was like perfect for Portia. Portia is so cute, and she with her little ringlet curls. I mean, it reminds me of my son. Actually, my son had ringlet curls for years. When he was finally like 6 or 7 years old, my husband kept teasing him that we were going to shave his head. And so one day he's like, "Okay, we're going to shave your head." And then my son was like, "Okay." And I just come downstairs, and all his curls are on the floor. And of course it never came back. And he was like 6 or 7 years old. They weren't like baby curls. They were like real curls. Now his hair is like probably wavy. I mean, it's very thick, but he keeps it short, but it's like wavy. Those curls were beautiful. But that's how Portia's hair is. I don't know what her hair is like now, because she wears it straight, but she's so cute here. Kyle tells us it's awkward seeing Russell, and she thinks everybody's probably avoiding eye contact with him. And then Taylor comes up and she's like, "Did you see Ace Young is here?" Ace Young from American Idol. So the entertainment that Dana has coordinated is apparently her stepson is in some kind of music group with Ace Young, who was apparently somebody on American Idol. And they wrote Kennedy a song, and they're going to be performing it for her today. So Taylor's running around telling everybody about Ace Young. Okay. Lisa and Pandy are planning the wedding, and Lisa says, "I'm not going to Kennedy's party because you know what? I have my own party, the wedding, and they're working on invitations with Kenneth Lee." Okay, whatever. So we go back to the party. Kyle is riding the mechanical bull, and her kids are giggling so hard at her. Honestly, they have just like this perfect family. I have been seeing all over my social media in the past day or so that apparently over New Year's Eve that her and Mauricio were like getting cuddly, and there's now rumors that maybe they're getting back together, and they've been going through a divorce for like 3 years. And even, one of the daughters on their TikToks showed them just like kind of snuggling on a, because they have a house in Aspen. snuggling on a couch eating popcorn. And I was just like, please, like, please, their family is so nice. I love their family. It's like this perfect little family. They just have so much fun together. She's riding this mechanical bull, and all of her kids are just like literally rolling on the floor laughing, like giggling, cackling. It was so funny. And then Kim arrives with her kids, and she says this is the first time since she will see Kyle since she was crying about meeting Ken. I wrote, she was crying about how ugly Ken is. This man is homely. So Kim comes up, and now she wants to ride the mechanical bull because, of course, she saw Kyle doing it. Who doesn't want to? I don't want to ride a mechanical bull. Kyle tells us that she doesn't want to get involved as much with her sister's life as she has been. Brandy arrives, and guess what? No more crutches. She has a boot. A boot. Kyle and Taylor talk. Taylor says that Lisa told her that if she didn't show up, not to be angry with her because she really wants to come, but she has a lot going on. And then she says, but if Camille showed up, she'd be shoveling shit. And Kyle is like, oh my God. So Taylor says, I should probably not have shared personal information about my marriage with Camille. Yeah. This is on you, babe. Like, you shouldn't be mad at anybody but yourself for the information getting out. I mean, that is what it is. But she says, but then Camille shouldn't have blurted it out at a tea party in front of other people. You mean the other people that you told? Like, and she says, I'm still mad at her. Kyle asks if they've been texting, and Taylor says, well, she's texted me like 500 times apologizing. And I'm like saying, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to betray you. Kyle tells us, in all fairness, Camille was only repeating what Taylor has told us. It's not fair for her to be upset with Camille over this. And Taylor says, as far as I'm concerned, she's done to me. Taylor's dramatic as hell. So now Adrienne shows up, and she tells us, after the tea party, I'm so confused about Taylor and Russell's marriage. But as their friends, I want to be there for her. So now she's going around and saying hi to everybody. And I noticed that crazy lady from Mohammed's party is sitting at the table with these people. So this crazy, the one who called her husband daddy, she showed up to this child's party. And she's sitting like with Kim and Kyle and all their kids. Kyle tells Adrienne what bothered her was that everybody left really upset. And now Lisa isn't even there, and Camille isn't even welcome. And then Adrienne, out of fucking nowhere, goes, well, what bothers me is that Lisa didn't come to me for her daughter's engagement party to stay at the Palms. They're going to Planet Hollywood, which is our direct competition. I would have rolled out the red carpet for her. It's rude. And I try to promote her restaurant all the time. Like, I would like a little bit of that back. And Lisa is very direct. I don't know why she wouldn't ask me. She's mad. Are you kidding me? This woman can do nothing right. Like, everything she does, they get mad at her. So Adrienne tells us, it hurts my feelings that Lisa isn't supporting me. Supporting me means featuring my hotel on our television show. Babe, you can feature your hotel on the television show. You could do a million things you could be doing so much. You could be hosting charity events at your hotel. You could be giving away packages at your hotel. No, you want it to be on your TV show. And we saw your hotel last year. So why would we go back? I don't know. And Kyle tells us it's weird that there are a lot of cracks in the group right now. And Dana and Kim are sitting around talking, and they're talking about horses, and Kim's telling some funny stories about being like a Disney kid and working with Disney horses and stuff. And then the editors do they do something totally unnecessary, and they do like it's like an old timey cowboy music, like the duel music, like you know. It's like when the duels and they're like seeing each other, and there's like a whip crack, and I don't know. And it's basically Brandy and Kim just like eyeing each other across this party, like at different times. Brandy's here, Brandy's there. Brandy tells us that she was nervous to see Kim because they had zero interaction during spa day. So Brandy goes up to her and says, "Hey, Kim, nice to see you." And Kim says, "Hi." And then she tells us, "Why are you talking to me? You don't even exist." And Brandy tells us, "I wanted to break the ice and say, sorry, it's all good. But I can't speak for Kim, and she can't speak for herself, clearly, because she didn't say anything." It's like her insistence to continue to act like Kim is still on drugs. That's so funny. So then Brandy leaves and Dana goes, "That was awkward." So now Brandy goes to sit with Adrian and Kyle, and she says that she tried to break the ice with Kim. And Kyle's like, "What happened?" And Brandy says, "I just want to put it all under the bridge because this is killing me. And I feel like we only have bad impressions of one another." And Kyle says, "I wish Brandy a lot of luck with Kim forgiving her because she holds grudges for a really long time." And then Kim talks to Dana and she's like, "If she meant something to me, I would bother. But the way she spoke to me was so intense, that doesn't mean anything to me." You're wasting a lot of time and energy just ignoring her. I don't know, babe. Okay, so now Taylor is walking around with Kennedy and they get up to the stage area where they're getting ready to do this song, right? And Russell comes up and he's like, well, the horse is coming at 4. And Taylor's like, "Oh, okay. I thought they told me it was coming at 3 because we're getting ready to cut the cake and then to have them do the song and take a family picture." And Russell's like, "Push it back to 4. What do you mean push it back to 4? All these people out here don't want to be spending their entire day at this event. I'm sure the kids are having fun, but even then, there's only so many times you can ride a pony, right? Kids get bored." And Dana is with them, and she's like, remember, Dana is in charge of the entertainment, which, you know, the entertainment also doesn't want to stay here all day. They probably have other events to go to later that night, like real events, not child's birthday party. And Dana's with them, and she's like, "Well, this has to go on at 3." And he just turns to her and he goes, "Dana, would you relax?" And she's like, "Okay." And then she's just like, "Well, bye." And she just turns around and walks away. She's like, I'm not dealing with that. And so she tells us that it's supposed to be about Kennedy's birthday, and his only concern is having everybody here see him as Father of the Year. And Kyle tells us that she does not know what to think about their marriage. She's happy. She's not happy. There's trouble. There's not trouble. So I don't know at what point all this shit goes off. But then they go to commercial break and they come back and Taylor is giving a speech about Kennedy. And then they sing the song. And I'm telling you, Kennedy could not give a fuck. She is full body turned away listening to the song. It's very cringy. They have all the housewives just give their opinion and they're just like, "Oh my God, that was embarrassing." Basically, it's like every day with you is a birthday or something like. I can't. Please, if you do anything, please go and watch this. It is the end of the episode, and you've got to go and watch it. And so now we have this big announcement, this big gift that Russell got, a horse. And Dana says, like, getting her a horse is a terrible, terrible idea. She couldn't even handle a dog. How are you going to handle a horse? And then Adrian says that Taylor's been complaining about her marriage for 4 years and that she thinks the issue is that Taylor's afraid of being alone. And Taylor says, "Russell and I have a difficult marriage. That's a fact. Finding real happiness with another person, it takes a lot of work, but I want to be happy. Maybe a different person might be good. Maybe this just isn't the person for you." And then Kyle says, "I don't think Taylor and Russell had that crazy in love feeling when they first started dating each other, and they never were crazy for each other and they never respected each other. So I think Taylor's fighting for something that she never had to begin with," which I feel like that's a sentiment that she was talking about when they were in Colorado. And I still agree with it. Yeah, I don't think Taylor and Russell ever had a spark. I don't think they were ever like in love with each other. I think they openly have said this is a business arrangement. I think Taylor likes the money. I think Russell likes to have a hot wife on his arm when, he's doing business meetings. And a lot of other things too. When I was doing my research about all this stuff going on with Taylor, is that, her story was like she saw him across the room and had to have him, and he was like hesitant. Remember when she was telling that story, and Lisa Vanderpump was like, he was hesitant to date you? That's not what happened. What happened was he had already been abusive to his former wives. Remember how he had other children, not just Kennedy? He had already had those allegations against him to his former wives. And he basically told Taylor, I'm not good for you. I'm not a good person. I don't want to enter into this. And she didn't care and did it anyway. But I'm so conflicted about Taylor. Like, I truly am, because I really feel like there's just two sides to her. There's two sides to this coin. Not two sides to her, but two sides to my thought about it. On one hand, she is a victim. Like, very obviously, she is being victimized. On the other hand, it's like she knew about this, and then she's using her victimization to gain manipulation brownie points. And at this point, now both of these things are crashing into each other, because at this point, everybody is tired of her going back and forth and, being on this emotional roller coaster, but she's still actually being a victim. You know what I'm saying? And everybody else is tired of having to deal with it. So all this emotional outburst is because she's still over here on this hand. She still is actually being victimized, and she still is being terrorized in her own home, worried for her child as well. So, part of me is like, why couldn't she use the Housewives in season 1 to get out? Like, she was hoping that being on TV would make Russell not abuse her. And then her fame and the money that she got from the show, because that was the other reason she did the show, was she wanted to become independent away from him so she could get out. I don't know why. And maybe it's because social media wasn't like as prevalent. I mean, we had Facebook, but we didn't have Instagram. We had Twitter, because remember I got blocked by Danielle. I got blocked by Danielle long before this. But it's like we didn't have that much. I don't know. I just feel like we are in a crisis mode at this point. And I'm also wondering, why aren't any of these therapists helping her? But that's the end of the episode. Sad. I think it was very interesting that he just he wants what, like the whole thing with Dana, and she was like, okay, and walks away, is Dana was basically telling him like, hey, we're doing this at 3 because that's the time that we have contracted with these, vendors. And he was like, relax. And she is not going to take it, because that's not her husband. Why does she have to take it? But she's also not going to intervene. It's difficult. It's such a weird thing, and hard. My only wish is that I wish that all the women had believed her and rallied around her. And I think if we had a situation like that on Housewives now, I think that they would. But it was a different time back then. And I'm not saying what they did was right. I don't think so. But also I can admit that this is a difficult situation to navigate for the Housewives. And they're really unsure. And they're also worried about, a lawsuit. So it's a weird road to tread, but also the question that now comes up in my mind is, what responsibility did Bravo have, if any? And I don't know. If you have thoughts about this, or if you know any background information, reach out to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Give me a rating and review. Leave comments. I'm on YouTube now, so if you want to see video, feel free to do that. Obsessed by Bravo. And we will talk to you next week. I hope you have an amazing first week of January. Bye.